Hey YouTube, how's it going? It's Quentin here, and this is tutorial number 46, and in this tutorial we're going to be taking a look at select lists. And you guys might know them as drop-down lists, but whatever they're called, they're the same thing. So let's go ahead now and actually add a select list onto our page, and the way we're going to do that is by opening a tag called select, and then we're going to go ahead and close that as well, so ending select, and now we actually have a select list on our page, but it is completely blank, so we're not going to be able to see anything. Okay, now the first thing we need to do is obviously maybe just give a label to this select list so that the user knows kind of what they're trying to select. So we'll just say pick a food, pick a food. Okay, and even though I've typed this out on multiple lines, it is still all going to appear on one line, so don't worry about that. This is just for readability. Okay, and now we can go ahead and actually ask the user for a food. So the way we're going to do that is by giving them some options. Okay, and we're going to have to go ahead now and open up a new option tag, and then we can close that option tag over there. So this is like the basic structure for a select list. You're going to have a select list, and you're probably going to have multiple option tags. Okay, but before we go any further, I do want to mention that there are some attributes that are missing from this that we really need to have. They are necessary, otherwise we're just this is not going to work. Okay, and the first thing we need to do is actually give our select list a name, because whenever we are going to send data from the select list through to the server or through to another web page, we need some way of identifying the data. So we need some way of identifying which of these options was chosen by the user, and the way we're going to do that is by giving our select list a name. So I'm going to give this a name of food. Okay, and then each of our options has to have a value as well. Okay, and the value can be different for each option, and in fact it should be different for each option. Okay, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here, because the user is not really going to be able to see this value, but whatever you type in between your two option tags over here, this is what the user sees. So let's say we're asking the user to select some food over here, so let's give them a food to select. Okay, and I think we can start off with potato chips. So potato chips, and now like I said, this is what the user sees, but we still need to give this a value so that we can send that value through to the server and actually find out over there what the user has selected. So we'll go ahead and give this a value of potato underscore chips, and that is our first option. So let's duplicate that. So I'm just going to hit Control D a couple times on my keyboard. I think one more will do. So we've got potato chips, and then I think we can give the user another kind of food. So let's give them popcorn, and like I said, we've got to have this correlate to that. So popcorn again over here. Then the next one can be peanuts. Peanuts, not pea butts. That would be kind of weird. Peanuts and peanuts. And you know what? Everything kind of starts with a P at the moment. So let's jump over to something else. Let's say nachos. Who cares about the capital, really? So nachos, and we'll copy that and maybe just paste that over here, nachos, and then pizza as well. So pizza and pizza. Okay, and now we actually have each option has a value, So we'll be able to tell on the other side, or wherever we send this data, that which one of the options the user has selected by looking at the value, and the user will be able to see which option they're selecting by looking at whatever is typed in here. So potato chips, popcorn, nachos, pizza, etc. Okay, so if we run this in Firefox right now, we should get a list that looks something like this. So we ask the user to pick a food, and by default potato chips has been selected, and if we click on that we can actually select a different item. So let's go ahead and maybe select nachos or pizza or something. Now you can see that we've selected pizza. Okay, and I'm actually gonna have to go back to Notepad++ now, because I want to show you guys a few more attributes that we can add into our select list, just to make things appear a little bit differently. Okay, and the first thing I'm going to show you guys is how to make something else appear as the default selected item. So remember, potato chips was the first selected item by default because that was the first option. But let's say I wanted peanuts to be the option that was selected by default. Then I could go ahead and add in a selected attribute, and I could set that equal to selected, and that means that this peanuts attribute is going, or this peanuts option is going to be the option that is selected first by default. So it doesn't actually work if I just refresh the browser. I actually have to run it in Firefox again, and when I do that you can see that peanuts is now the option that is selected by default. Okay, and there's actually two more attributes I want to speak to you guys about. So if we go back here, the first attribute I want to talk to you about goes up here in the opening select tag, and this is called multiple. So multiple, and we don't have to set that equal to anything, although we could say multiple equals multiple, and I'm not going to do that. But what this allows us to do is show more than one option at a time. Okay, but whenever we're using this multiple attribute, we need to decide how many options do we want the user to be able to see. So we need to give this a size, and that is the second attribute that I wanted to speak to you guys about. And the size we can set equal to a number value of however many options we want to show to the user. So let's say I set this equal to 3. When we save this now and go back to Firefox and click refresh, this drop-down list isn't really a drop-down list anymore as much as it is a scroll list, and by default peanuts is selected. But we can go ahead now and select multiple items by holding Control and clicking on more than one item. So right now I have peanuts, nachos, and pizza all selected, and potato chips and popcorn are not selected. Okay, and if I want to unselect them, just Control click again. So that's cool, and I could go ahead and change the size to 5, seeing as I've got 5 different options here. And basically what that means is we'll be showing all the options at once, so there's no need to scroll anymore. We're showing all 5 options all at once over here in the drop down. Well, you know, it's not a drop down anymore, it's a select list. Okay, so that's almost everything, but there is one more thing that I can show you guys, and that is another element that we can put inside our select list, and that is an option group. So we can group our options. So I'm going to go and maybe just divide these options into some groups real quick. And the first one, we can open up an option group tag, so opt group, and we can give that a label. So I'm going to give this a label of whatever we want the label for these foods to be. So seeing as chips, popcorn and peanuts are all salty foods, I can go ahead and give this a label of salty food, and that way we would have labeled all of those salty foods. So let's go ahead and end that option group by ending opt group, and we can do the same thing over here. So maybe just duplicate that line. Instead of have it as an ending option group, have it as an opening option group, and I'm trying to be as fast as I can, so I'm going to copy that as well. Maybe just paste that down here, and we'll give this a label of hot food, because pizza and nachos, I guess, are usually hot. So save that now, come back to Firefox and click refresh, and now we have little headers over here just to explain or define different groups of options. So we've got salty food, and we've got our salty foods under the salty food, and we've got hot food under the hot food label. And that's actually all I have for you guys in this tutorial. So as always, don't forget to subscribe. Please feel free to leave a comment, like, or share this video. It's really gonna help my channel grow, and as always, I will see you guys next time.